The purpose of this training video is to show the Simplus CM how to initialize and complete a payment application submitted by the contractor. For the purposes of this training exercise, we're going to use the payment application number 11 from the FRB Phase 8B2 project. So let's open that project. Alright, so we're now in the FRB Phase 8B2 project, and in order to initiate a payment application, we're going to go over to the Contracts module and go down to Pay Apps. Click on the Pay Apps menu item, and this brings you to the payment application log. The next step in the process is to actually create a new payment application record. You do that by clicking on the New Task link. That will open up a new window. And in this window, you will put the name of the project or the number of the specific project. In this case, it's P729- and then the number of the payment application. In this case, it's 11. And this is for October 2017. And this is the pay period. Actually, I'm sorry, this is for September. And the pay period from, this will be from September 1 through September 30th. You're going to make sure this is always filled in, but just in case it isn't, you definitely need to make sure that the contract is actually filled in this field. Down here you can input any comments that are specific to this payment application that are maybe out of the ordinary. The application date is going to be the date that you're actually processing the payment application, or the date that you received it from SUKIT or the contractor. So in this case, I'm going to have to go back and change this record later, but for the purposes of this training video, I'm going to say that we received it on the 2nd of October. Normally it's initiated by the contractor, but we have limited the contractor's access to the contract module. So in this case, I'm going to use myself so you should put down the CM's name. The ball in court for now until it's approved will also be the CM. And then you can actually upload and attach any of the contractor submitted documentation. So that would go in this area here. Now at this point, it's a really good idea to save this record, because if you don't save it and you go to a different screen, you could lose everything you've done to date. So go ahead and save the record by clicking on the Save button. And what we're going to do is we're going to then jump to the log, and you will see that it actually created a record for payment application 11. Now at this point, there are a sequence of activities going on behind the scenes, which can sometimes take a little while. So let's get into this record, go back into it, and I'll explain that a little bit. Typically it takes a couple minutes, but if you were to get back in, you might get an error message that says that there's a process going on in the background. In preparing this training video, there's been some time since I saved that record to the time that you're seeing this screen right now. So in the background, it has to write all of these payment application schedule of value line items for the current pay app record. So that process has already been done. What you want to do is just make sure and double check by going to the very bottom that all of the payment applications have written entirely. In this case, I know that the last payment application item is 40E, so I know that this process is now done. So I'm scrolling back to the top. Again, just like everything else, we have a discussion tab in the payment application section, and once you go to the edit mode, you can get in here and start to mention that on 10/12, in this case, which we saw in the earlier section, is when SUKIT submitted the payment application to Simplus. So that's just some of the notes that we want to keep. Also, we're going to say that the status is basically new. These are the different statuses we have. So let's go ahead and we'll go back, and in this next part of the video, I will show you how to attach or upload the contractor's submitted payment application, invoice, and backup documents. So we're still in the payment application record, and of course this is the area that we upload or link. In this case, we're going to link the document because we know that it was submitted as part of a submittal, so it's already in VPO. So since we're in the payment application, if we click on the link button, it automatically puts us into the payment application library. This is where all of the other documents that were uploaded to payment applications are stored. So we're going to have to go up a little bit, hit that little folder icon, and browse down to the submittal documents because it was made as part of a submittal. Now, this is limited. It only goes down so far, so you're going to have to use the filter feature. And I'm just going to type in payment and hit the filter. And I can see immediately that we're talking about the September draft payment in this case. So there are two documents here that I needed to upload. So one, I'm going to link both of them. That was the original that was submitted actually on the 5th. And then I'm going to go ahead and link another one. I'm going to link the one that we returned, marked no exceptions taken, on the 12th. And I'm going to go down and hit OK. So that is how you actually attach those documents. And again, we're going to hit save. And in this next part of the video, we're going to actually show you how to update the line items. So to update the line items, I'm now back at the payment application log, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the contracts module up top, and I'm going to hit update Pay App. This will take you to this screen that shows you the actual line items or schedule of values. And it's important to know what you're looking at here to make sure that you're in the right spot. The most important thing is you can see that payment application number. We are currently working in the payment application 11. And you can see that all of these, here's the last line item to the first line item, are all now associated with payment application 11. The other thing you want to pay attention to make sure everything is right before moving forward is that when you start, and obviously before you've entered anything completed this period, the sum for this period would be 0. So quickly browse down just to make sure that all of these are 0. The next step, you'll have 3 different views available to you: all payment line items, all Pay App line items for update, and Pay App line items by payment application. Really, this is the only one that you're ever going to use when you get to this screen. So what you want to do is you want to go and click the Edit button here. Now, once you click the Edit button, it brings you into the table, and you come over to the area where it says completed this period. And what we're going to do here is we're going to put in the dollar values that the contractor and you, the CM, have agreed upon for each line item. So for example, you can't see it, but I am looking at line item 2A on the document that the contractor and the CM have agreed upon. And in this particular instance, line item 2A, they agreed that the amount paid or to be paid on this line item is $2,010.55. Once you click on the next record, it will do a calculation in the background and calculate the quantity completed. You see that that just changed. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to fill in the rest of these values. Now that I've finished inputting all of the values under the completed this period column, I'm going to go over here and hit stop editing this list. Now it has updated the total amount that was input. And in this case, the sum completed this period was $766,551.35. You should definitely go back and check that against the amount that you had agreed upon. In this case, it's different than what I have on my hard copy. So I'm going to go back and figure out where the error is by going in and hitting Edit. And then I'm going to go back line by line and figure out what I did wrong. So I've gone back and I realized that I missed one of the line items where the contractor was due some payment. So I've updated that line item and I hit the stop button, and now the Pay App line item schedule has been updated. You can see the new sum for payment is $767,653.85. In this case, it matches the hard copy dollar figure that we all agreed upon. So at this point, you're ready to move to the next step in the process. So we should go back to the contract menu item, go back to Pay Apps, and let's take a look at the log. You can now see that under payment number 11, it has the total amount which matched the table that we were just looking at. So let's go into the payment record number 11 and look at the details. We're in the General Information tab, and you can see that the total amount due is $729,271.16. That is less than the amount that we input on the line item schedule of values, which in this case was total completed this period. You can see these numbers were all transferred from the screen that we were just on. But remember that we have 5% retention. So you need to double check this, make sure that it's correct. The number that we had before was $767,653.85 minus the 5% should be the amount due to the contractor. Double check that, always make sure that is correct. Also come over here and just make sure that the line items, that the payment and the quantities that you paid were all correct. It's just very important to do that. You can update the discussion tab with any other comments you might have, and then of course you can always update the review tab. So at this point we are ready to again go to the next step and actually generate the payment application. We do that by going to the top of the menu bar, and you'll see a Generate Payment Application Excel icon. Go ahead and click on that. It'll always ask you if you are sure that you want to generate a new payment application. If the document already exists, it will be overwritten. Now when you click on that, it generates a new Excel spreadsheet. You can see that it's writing in the background. It's actually writing to Excel, and it stores the Excel spreadsheet in VPO. When the Excel spreadsheet has been completed and generated, come down here and you hit Open. Now Excel is opening on my other screen, so I'll pull it over here. And you can see that we are now in an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to say Edit the Workbook, and I'm going to increase the zoom. And this is a standard template that we have developed in VPO for Orange County Waste and Recycling. Your client might have a different format, but this is a pretty generic one that we use. So for the purposes of this training video, just understand that your payment application might look a little different. What's important to note here is that you have the clients and the contractors' addresses as well as Simplus, the project numbers. We can see here that it is payment application number 11, the application date, the period, make sure they're all correct, and most importantly, make sure that these numbers, the current payment, the retention, and the amount due should all match what we saw on the screen. There's also a tab down here called Continuation Sheet. That is the detail from the schedule of value line items. And again, this should match everything from the previous screens. So basically at this point you are done generating a pay application. You would, take this over to the contractor, get him to sign the contractor's portion here. You as the CM would sign it after making sure that everything was correct, and then you would give it to the owner for their further processing. Okay, so one of the last steps in the entire process is to actually update the VPO application record. After you've submitted the payment application to the owner for signature and processing, you need to make sure that you go back into the record and close out and fill out and properly status the current payment application record. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm now in payment application number 11. I'm going to go into the edit mode. And one of the first things we need to do is attach the actual signed copy and any other documents. For the purposes of this video, I've already browsed to the appropriate spot on my local hard drive where I have the scanned copy of the signed document, and I'm going to upload that. Make sure you hit the upload button. Once that has been uploaded, we then need to go and status everything else. So then we're going to go over, and you can see that we should update any of the discussion. And then basically what we're going to do is we're going to status this as approved now that it has been signed, and we are the CM, so we will acknowledge that. We will put any comments in here, the date that it was approved for submission, which is going to be the 12th October, and we're going to type our name and the approver's signature. Okay. So, and then we're going to CC anybody that needs to be CC'd, usually the contractor or office engineer for their records. And with that, we'll go ahead and save the document. And that ends this part of the process.